We're back for our quarterly market insights, and Q2 25 was a totally chaotic quarter. It started off with Liberation Day and Trump's potential tariff policies coming into effect that made public markets and M&A incredibly uncertain throughout this quarter. And yet, now looking back at the end of the quarter, we had public markets that were way up throughout the quarter. We had our first ad tech IPO in 4 years with Mountain going public. And it was a very strong quarter for strategic M&A, continuing the trend we've seen since Q4 24 and Q1 25. So what gives? Why has there been so much strength despite all this macro noise? Well, in our State Digital that we released back in May, we talked about 3 core trends that are driving the ad tech and martech ecosystem: the proliferation of AI, the shift towards outcomes, and a changing consumer landscape. These trends are fundamental and are having huge impacts on the ecosystem, and that is forcing strategics and investors to move forward and find great companies no matter what the macro situation, and that's exactly what happened through Q2 25. So today we're going to dig a little deeper on each of those and talk about where we're seeing some of the deals and the trends that are driving this ecosystem forward. All right, so let's start with AI. This is obviously the most fundamental component to what's happening in the technology ecosystem, not just ad tech and martech, to everyone. And there's not enough time in this short video to talk about all the things about how it's impacting these sectors themselves. So go listen to our State Digital, there's a lot more there. One of the things, though, that is very important to this is having a core data strategy. And this is driving strategics to start thinking about new ways about how they're accessing and leveraging data inside these platforms, and leading to some strategics start to make new moves in this space. So just this quarter, we had WPP, the large holdco, acquire InfoSum. So bringing the data collaboration capabilities actually in-house, bringing that a lot closer to the agency itself. You also had on the martech side, Fivetran acquiring Census, making all the data they have in their platform actually more easily movable for brands, which is critical as you move into an AI landscape. Now, the other most important trend going on, especially in ad tech, is this notion of outcomes. I mean, you could not walk around Cannes without seeing outcomes plastered on every single billboard on the street. So clearly, this is taking hold. Where we really see a huge opportunity here is both in the changing measurement landscape around outcomes and how people are starting to use a probabilistic signal. We've yet to see much M&A there yet, but there's a lot of conversations about how this technology is working and what those opportunities, how those opportunities exist, especially as sort of measurement and optimization are starting to come more and more together and blending together. And you see more platforms looking at how can they tie typical brand dollars towards performance outcomes. And this is very indicative of the Greenbids Perion deal that we announced earlier this year. And there's a huge opportunity as more and more brands look to tie those upper funnel spend to bottom funnel metrics, not just performance as a bottom funnel buy. And then lastly, there's the changing consumer habits. Now, this has been a multi-year journey where consumers are spending more and more time with creators, whether that is across Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok that are competing more than ever before, or frankly on CTV, as YouTube is becoming a CTV first channel. Ultimately, what this means is it's elevated the importance of creators and driven M&A both for how brands are accessing through creators. So Publicis acquired Captivate to do more in this space and continue to double down on their investments there, but also how creators are interacting with their audiences themselves. And so earlier this year we ran a fundraising for a company called ManyChat that focused on helping creators and commerce businesses actually leverage walled gardens like Meta and others to interact on a one-to-one basis with their customers. So it's happening both on the media advertising side of things as well as the martech side, almost building a new martech funnel for these platforms. Overall, these 3 trends together are very overlapping, with AI and outcomes driving across all of them. And we see these driving a lot more strategic discussions throughout the year. And one of the most important things through all this, especially with AI, is that things are moving so fast that companies cannot sit still. They either need to be building fast or in some cases buying fast. And so we're actually seeing the speed to exit on some of these transactions much faster. Greenbids is a great example. DoorDash acquiring Symbiosis is another great example. And we expect to see more of these considerations happen as really fast growing, excellent technology can show the way to a huge amount of synergies when tied to a much bigger platform that has either the go-to-market or the customers at scale that can leverage that technology. And so that's something we're very focused on throughout the rest of this year and frankly into 2026. That's it for this quarter. We'll see what happens. There's still tons of macro noise out there and seemingly new tariff announcements every day. But for now, the technology ecosystem is moving forward despite any of that noise. Innovation is happening too fast. People cannot sit still. If you want to learn more about what's happening in AI outcomes and media consumption side of things, definitely check out our Full State Digital. And also remember, check out our latest Q2 market report. This has all of the deal and public market data in ad tech and martech. That's it for me. I'm Conor McKenna, signing off.